Mark this date, guys, because what you're about to hear changes everything. Democrats are in full-blown panic mode, and for good reason. The walls of their blue fortresses, the strongholds that they thought that they could never lose, they're collapsing right in front of their very eyes. And at the very center of this earthquake, Donald J. Trump handpicked warrior FBI Director Kash Patel. Now, in one single hearing, Patel stood toe-to-toe with the radical left, shredded their lies, and dropped the hammer in a way that we haven't seen in decades. So while Patel was humiliating Nadler, Booker, Jayapal, Swalwell, and Adam Schiff to their faces, something even bigger was happening across the nation. Millions of voters are abandoning the Democratic Party in places like New York, New Jersey, and California. That's right, guys. The very states Democrats once bragged were untouchable are now slipping red. They are sliding red, guys, one voter registration at a time. This is a double crisis for the left. They're getting dismantled on live television, and their voter base is walking away in record numbers. No wonder they're so terrified. Now, hit the like button, subscribe, guys. Stick with me because in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how Kash Patel just exposed the Democrats' biggest fear, how the numbers prove that the blue states are turning red faster than anyone predicted, and why this is the most massive MAGA shakeup of our lifetime. All right, so let's go ahead and break this down because the data alone should literally have Democrats waking up in the middle of the night in cold sweats. So since what, 2020, Democrats have hemorrhaged over 2.1 million registered voters. Republicans? Well, we've done the exact opposite. We've gained 2.44 million registered voters. So this means that there has been a net swing of 4.5 million Americans who have flipped their allegiance. They've abandoned the radical left and they've moved straight into the MAGA movement. Now, this isn't just happening in one or two states. It's actually happening everywhere. Among the 30 states that officially track party registration, every single one of them, yes, 30 out of 30 has shifted away from Democrats toward Republicans. That's a clean sweep. This is not a trend. This is a tidal wave. And not only is this a tidal wave, but this is also not an accident. You don't accidentally have those kinds of numbers. I'm sorry. So now let's talk about where this is happening, because this is the part that Democrats really don't want you to hear, okay? New York, guys, the Big Apple, Empire State, right? Okay. The New York Knicks. Okay. So President Trump gained 327,000 more votes in 2024 than he did in 2020. That's a big deal. Kamala Harris, who was supposed to energize Democrats, brought in 626,000 fewer votes than Biden. That is not a dip. That is a colossal collapse. New Jersey? Oh, we got to talk about the NJ. All right. So once considered untouchable Democratic territory, President Trump grew his base by nearly 100,000 votes. So while Kamala Harris lost a staggering 640,000 compared to Biden, this is a massive shift. In fact, the shift is so dramatic that the 2025 governor's race is now seen as a legitimate toss-up. That's crazy. I mean, just think about that. The idea of New Jersey as a swing state was unthinkable 5 years ago. But today it's a reality. Let's talk about California. We got to talk about California. Okay, this one cuts really deep, and I know Governor Gavin Newsom's he's pissed off about this. Okay, California, this one cuts really deep because it's Kamala Harris's home turf. Biden had the benefit of the state's powerful Democratic machine in 2020, but by 2024, Kamala Harris brought in nearly 2 million less votes than Biden. Guys, I want to reiterate that. Kamala Harris brought in nearly 2 million fewer votes than Biden. Meanwhile, Trump shifted the state 10 points to the right. Now, California, the crown jewel of the Democrats, is now bleeding to the right under their noses. Okay? They are bleeding right under their noses. This is historic. Okay, we got to talk about New Mexico. This is where the quiet revolution's happening, okay? Republicans have added over 15,000 new registered voters since late 2024. That's not just growth. That is cutting the Democratic lead in half. So if this pace continues, if the trajectory keeps going in the same direction that it's been headed, New Mexico, once considered solid blue, will be fully red by midterms. So what's the story here? Ron, you're just ranting. There's a point behind what I'm telling you guys. Democrats are not just losing elections. They're losing their very foundation. Their voters are walking away. One by one, they're walking out the door, and they don't even know how to stop them from doing that. And this is why when you pair this voter shift with what Kash Patel's doing in Congress right now, you can see why Democrats are panicking like never before. So while Democrats are bleeding voters on the outside, inside Congress, they're getting shredded piece by piece by Kash Patel. So let me tell you guys, it was completely brutal. First up, Jerry Nadler. The man's been in Washington for decades, and yet He couldn't even pronounce Charlie Kirk's name. He called him Charlie King. Is there something wrong with this guy's brain? That one slip tells you everything you need to know about these people. They're so disconnected from the grassroots that they don't even know who the major players are. Nadler was supposed to embarrass Patel, but instead Nadler embarrassed himself. Then came Mazi Hironio from Hawaii. She tried to trap Patel with a bogus claim that FBI field offices had been losing agents since Trump appointed him, but Patel didn't just defend himself. He actually dropped receipts. He calmly explained that under his leadership, every single FBI field office in the nation, including Hawaii, has received a plus up. More agents, not fewer. More boots on the ground, not less. He exposed her question for what it really is. A media clip for fundraising, not a serious concern. And so that look on her face, like when he shot her down, it said it all. She was completely stunned. And then you had Cory Booker, Cyclops Booker, whatever you want to call it, the dime store Obama. Okay. He went on his dramatic rants accusing Patel of being a failed leader, claiming America was less safe. And how did Patel respond? With facts, with evidence, with hard numbers. He listed accomplishment after accomplishment from just his first 7 months in charge. 23,000 violent felons arrested, 1,500 child predators taken off the streets, 300 human traffickers jailed, 4,700 missing children identified and rescued, 1,600 kilograms of fentanyl seized. This is enough to kill a third of the U.S. population, by the way. 88,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, 700 kilograms of meth taken down, counterintelligence arrests skyrocketing, 33% increase with China, 83% with Russia, and 60% with Iran. So he completely buried Booker under a mountain of proof. And here's the thing that you could pretty much see it on Booker's face. He had no comeback, nothing. Like, he just sat there drowning in his own empty words while Patel rattled off success after success. And it didn't stop there. You got Pramila Jayapal tried to ambush Patel over Epstein victims, screaming and interrupting. But guess what? Patel coolly pointed out that it was the Obama and Biden DOJ that dismissed the evidence, not him. Eric Swalwell? Well, Patel told him face to face he was a disgrace to the American people. And the grand finale was Adam Schiff. Patel labeled him the biggest fraud in the U.S. political history, calling him a complete coward and exposed him for lying about Russiagate and January 6th for years. Adam Schiff had no defense, none. This wasn't just testimony. This was a demolition. It was like Patel against the world, and he still won. Patel walked into Congress, one man against an army of Democrats, and then just came out swinging harder and faster than anyone thought possible. And so while the Democrats tried to paint him as a failure, he used that moment to prove the FBI under Trump's leadership is doing a lot more to protect America in the last 7 months than Democrats did in the last 7 years. Now, retirees talk. And lately, in coffee shops across the country, the same phrase just keeps on popping up. I called Chapter about my Medicare plan and it changed everything. Guys, this is exactly why I partner with Chapter, because when everybody's having the same conversation, I think it's worth listening to. So let me ask you, do you want to be left out of the talk, or do you want to join the thousands of people who have already joined the conversation and they know what's going on? Now, most people, they're already calling the phone number down below on the screen right there, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron, or they're dialing the phone number, which is 909-563-8279. And of course, it is a completely free call for the Ron Yates community. And just a little heads up, the average senior is saving over $1,000 a year thanks to Chapter. So it's a totally free call. So here's the connection that the mainstream media will never admit. Every time Kash Patel dismantles a Democrat on national TV, voters in blue states are getting up, walking out. They're waking up, they're walking out, and they're switching sides. This is what's happening. I mean, think about it. New York, New Jersey, California, New Mexico, these were supposed to be Democrat strongholds. Yet as Kash Patel exposes Nadler's incompetence, Hironio's lies, and Booker's empty rhetoric, millions of Americans, they're asking themselves a very simple question. Why am I still voting for this circus? And I think that the answer is they're not. This is why Democrat approval ratings are cratering into single digits. The people who used to blindly follow them are now seeing Kash Patel backed by President Trump, standing tall, spitting facts left and right, and they're calling these frauds out to their faces. This is why blue states are collapsing. It's not just a voter shift. It's a total loss of confidence in the Democratic Party's ability to govern. And Patel is the living proof of that collapse. But of course, it gets a little bit bigger. Well, it gets a lot of bit bigger, actually, because this isn't just about raw numbers. It's about geography and demographics. Look at Miami-Dade County in Florida. Anybody watching from Florida today? Let me know where you're watching from, guys. For decades, no Republican could touch it. Today, it's solidly red. So here's why that matters. Every time a Republican wins Miami-Dade, they win the presidency. That's history. And Miami-Dade isn't an outlier. It's a preview. If you go north to Duval County in Florida, Jacksonville, demographics nearly identical to Georgia. When Duval flipped red, Georgia followed. It's happening again. Oh, and we got to look at Erie and Northampton counties in Pennsylvania. Working class bellwethers, okay? Both are moving red. Pay attention to the pattern, guys. He who wins Erie and Northampton wins Pennsylvania. Guess what? They're ours now. And so the Latino working class, Democrats thought that they owned them forever. Not anymore. Latinos are swinging hard Republican in Texas, Florida, Nevada, Arizona, and yes, even New Mexico. These are the very voters who fueled Democrat victories in the past, and now they're powering the red tsunami. This is the kind of realignment that political scientists call generational. Once it happens, it doesn't swing back. And so this is why Democrats are completely panicking in the streets. They're losing their base, they're losing their geography, and they're losing their grip on America. So now this one's rich. After years of ignoring the Epstein case, after years of turning a blind eye while protecting their own, Democrats suddenly pretend to care the moment that Kash Patel takes the chair. Pramila Jayapal came unglued in that hearing, screaming about Epstein's victims, demanding answers, trying to paint Patel as the victim. But Kash, he flipped the script. He calmly reminded her that the very evidence that she was waving around, it was already reviewed and dismissed by the Obama administration and by Biden's Justice Departments. So how could Pramila Jayapal argue that? It's like, yo, that's your own team. So go ahead and think about that before you open your big fat mouth, right? They had the power. They had the oversight. They had all the agencies and they did nothing. Now, if you contrast this with Trump, right? He brought new charges. He demanded transparency. He forced accountability. That's the difference. Democrats use victims for political theater. Trump and Patel actually deliver justice. And let's not forget, the same people now crying about Epstein, those are the same ones who spent years weaponizing the system against Trump. Fake Russiagate, fake impeachments, fake trials, everything's fake. Like all these knockoffs. Classified documents planted at Mar-a-Lago, guys, for crying out loud. You got Jack Smith, he got fired in disgrace. Every single one of those sham cases designated to go after Trump, they all collapsed. And so now, out of nowhere, Democrats, they want to claim moral high ground on Epstein? Man, please. Ain't no way buying that. The hypocrisy could not be any clearer. So that brings us to the heart of it. Right now, Democrats are facing not one crisis, but two crises. Crisis number one, Kash Patel humiliating them on live TV, from Nadler to Hirono, from Booker to Jayapal, from Swalwell to Adam Schiff. Patel tore them apart with facts, evidence, and unshakable confidence. Millions watched as he exposed their incompetence, their lies, and their hatred for this country. Crisis number two, their blue states are collapsing. New York, New Jersey, California, New Mexico, all bleeding Democrat voters and swinging toward Trump's America First movement. The very ground beneath their feet is shifting, and there's nothing that they can do to stop it. This is why Democrats are panicking. They can't control the narrative anymore. They can't hide behind the media anymore, and they really can't stop the people from leaving their parties in droves. And that's scary for them. So then what happens when your leaders are clowns and your voters are running for the exits? You get the meltdown that we're seeing right now. Democrats are watching their fortresses and the fortress walls collapse, while the man that they fear the most, Kash Patel, stands in the center of all of it, calling them frauds to their faces. So now I want to go ahead and step back just for a second. I want to look at the bigger picture. So Donald Trump, he's the president of the United States, number 47. Let that sink in, because every single thing that we're watching right now, the red wave in blue states, the voter rebellion, the congressional takedowns, it all ties back to Trump's leadership. It was Trump who appointed Kash Patel. It was Trump who said, enough with the weaponization of justice. It was Trump who put America first and forced the FBI for the first time in decades to serve the people instead of the elites. And so here's the truth. This movement isn't temporary. This isn't just a bump in the road for Democrats. This is the start of a generational realignment. When Miami-Dade flips red, when New New Jersey becomes a swing state when Latino voters in Nevada and New Mexico walk away from the Democrats? That doesn't swing back in 2 years. That's permanent. That's MAGA reshaping the maps for decades to come. So here's the big takeaway. If Kash Patel could just walk into Congress, stare down the Democrats' most powerful names, and on top of that, humiliate them with facts in a single hearing, imagine what happens when this red tsunami crashes into the 2026 midterms. Like, imagine what happens in 2028 when Trump runs with a Republican base that now owns New York, New Jersey, California, and beyond. I mean, Democrats, they're watching the walls of their entire empire crumble, and you, right now, are living through history. So let me go ahead and ask you, do you believe Democrats can recover from this? Serious question. Or are we witnessing the permanent collapse of the blue wall? Let me know in the comments where you stand, guys, and don't forget, like, subscribe, share this video, because the mainstream media will never show you Kash Patel burying the Democrats or blue states turning red overnight. But you've seen it, you've heard it, and now you know the red wave is real. Kash Patel just proved it, and America will never be the same.